Lagos and Nigeria. Welcome to Enterprise TV. We're taking the newspaper review this morning. All the news fresh and hot on the dailies. I am Innocent Adulugba. I'm standing in for our main anchor, Harry Igwebike. Joining me in the studio this morning is Barrister Ivan Sufeli, always looking healthier than the doctors.
Thank you. Good morning.
So let me say, how was your sleep?
Well,
you look
very
refreshed.
Very well, thank you.
You have some immunity on the current economy,
No,
so to speak.
I'm going through the same economic quagmire that we're all facing.
Not everybody will agree with you on that. Okay, so we'll race straight to the dailies. The first one here is the Daily Trust newspapers. And on that heading, we have, after 1 year, PDP, NEC finally meets. We are also looking at an advertorial here, celebrating 2 years of leadership and progress. It's more of an advert. I think I can move to another paper. The Punch newspaper. As usual, the Punch is always a busy one. Fresh $24 billion borrowing may balloon Nigeria's debt to 183 trillion. The rider there says National Assembly said to approve Tinubu's loan request. Foreign debt nears $70 billion. Economists worry over high debt servicing. And then I think I'll just move to the next paper. So many advertorials there. The Guardian, almost the same. Fresh loans may push Nigeria's debt to 182 trillion. There's a big advertorial there for Tantita Services, Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited. They are celebrating President Tinubu's 2 years. So let me come to you, Barrister Ofeli. The bulk of the papers have commanding front pages, which are basic advertorials or adverts. And I think we're on the eve of President Tinubu's mid-term anniversary, or 2 years. You can see congratulations here and there. The first question is, are these congratulations partisan or just obligatory?
Well, they are largely partisan. People are looking at it from different standpoints. Those whom the government have favored.
Okay.
Of course, you don't expect any other thing from Tantita.
Okay.
Tantita have a contract with the federal government in billions of dollars, for which they are securing pipelines. Okay, even though we have the Nigerian Navy, but we have a non-state actor who is giving the contract to secure the pipeline in line with what the Navy they are doing. Okay, so I have a friend who said because the president commenced the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway, for which when it is completed, it's going to take you 4 hours to move from Lagos to Calabar, and because of that, he cannot afford not to vote the president again, and that he will mobilize his community, his household, his friends, everyone that cares to hear that the president deserves a second term. Okay, you see that people are acting as it affects them. Okay, because according to him, he said when he goes to Calabar, he takes almost like 2 days to get there. But that with that road, it's going to take 4 hours. And that is kudos to him and the idea that not only that is going to open up business
along
for the south and the southeast.
Okay.
Because from that road, you are going to have diverts, okay, which will link to other states.
Yeah.
I mean, and all that. Kudos to them. Okay. But when you look at it from the macro level, just
as it affects the masses.
Yes, the immediate contact of the citizen with the policies of this government, you find out that, I mean, road is a luxury.
In fact.
Yes, in the context of the Nigerian economy.
Priority needs.
Yes. unemployment is at all-time high.
Okay.
The citizens, this is the lowest, they are living, this is the lowest, okay, we have seen in terms of human existence in Nigeria. Look at cost of living, look at insecurity, okay? Whatever it is the president have done, for me, can be swallowed by insecurity. Okay, just that single item, okay, can actually diminish whatever it is he has done. Okay.
Okay, let me interrupt you. So, are you saying that as regards insecurity, or let me put it straight to you, what would you score the president over 10 on insecurity?
You see, you cannot score it. The best and most objective way to score the president's performance is to score the president sectorially. You can't do it like a blanket.
No, I'm saying on that single item, that item of insecurity.
Yes.
Let's even leave out 1 to 10. You could use your range. How would you score this president? Since you said you just mentioned that that insecurity alone could swallow up.
Yes.
So just on insecurity, how would you rate President Tinubu?
For insecurity, I'll rate the president 1 over 10.
That's harsh.
It's harsh because it is the reality.
Wow.
Where Buhari left it off,
okay,
Tinubu had not done any of that insignificant.
So in fact, it went lower?
It went lower. In fact, the National Security Advisor, the choice of National Security Advisor was an error.
No hurry about it.
Yes, it was a complete error. Because he was busy a week back telling us that everything is under control. And I said, no, nothing is under control in Nigeria as it relates to security or insecurity. Nothing is under control because when you, just yesterday, there was a suicide bomber that almost blew up a whole situation in Abuja and was caught, some persons injured and all that. That's by the wayside. In Borno, last week, soldiers took over a military barrack. I mean, all the attacks since Tinubu came in, all have succeeded. Apart from this one, this little boy that was intercepted. Every other attack have succeeded because the NSA has not intercepted any kind of intelligence, have not used any, developed any, and have no tact. Is trained in law enforcement, not in combat. I mean,
so does that make it a round peg in a square hole to you? The appointment of no Ribadi?
Yes, it's not a good fit. Even everyone is aware. I mean, people know that it's not a good fit, and that was why, if you listen to Zulum, the governor of Borno State, on New Central TV, when he had this 1-hour interview, when he was calling on the president, he said the president should listen to him. The president should listen to the soldiers. The president should not listen to politicians.
Great.
That is an old man's way of conveying a message that the National Security Advisor is not doing the right job. It's not because the president will always listen to the briefings, weekly briefings of the National Security Advisor, which is supposed to give him a context
for a direction.
Yes, or a position on where things are. But Zulum is saying, no, don't listen to a politician. We are on ground. We know where this thing is coming from. He further told the president that the Boko Haram have sophisticated gadgets. They've gone digital.
You mean it?
Yes, they've gone digital. He told the president they've gone digital. And there's a need to acquire some drones. He mentioned those drones and all that. That they are now using sophistication to fight this, to combat. And then there's a need for the soldiers to beef up to that level and all that. So the Nigerian security is now playing catch up with the enemy. Okay, when you have national security is supposed to border on the Nigerian army is supposed to, the state is supposed to have the monopoly of violence. They should be able to crush any kind of opposition, any threats, anything that threatens our corporate existence or our territorial existence. You understand? But it is not the case here.
It's the reverse.
It's the reverse because now they are emboldened, they are killing soldiers, ambushing them, you know, a lot of soldiers even who are surrendering to them, subservient to them, giving them information and the rest of that. A soldier was caught not too long ago, recently, with a lot of ammunition that he was taking to the enemy. And he was intercepted by other soldiers and he confessed to the crime. He actually takes this thing to the Boko Haram and all that.
Would we say he was working in silo?
Well, working against...
Because that may look syndicated.
Yes, yes.
It may not be his first time.
Yes, it's not his first. He confessed that he's been on it for a long time, providing resources for the enemy to attack the state and all that. So these are all issues that this government need to look at. Because see, if you build, no matter how tall the building is, the high rise you put up there, and you allow the enemies to roam free around you, one day they will bring the high rise down. Okay, so Lagos Calabar Coast Highway is fantastic. Okay, some other projects, few projects here and there, that is fantastic. But how long will you go on with those projects when the people whom you are putting those projects together for are not able to use it? If they are not able to use it, that means it's as good as nothing. Okay, so the human capital protection that is required for the Nigerian state is very critical. We need to up our game on that, and then while we do other facilities.
Okay, so I can see recently governors, predominantly APC governors, have openly endorsed President Tinubu to run for 2027. President Tinubu, we are yet to see him deliver his midterm speech, possibly score himself. If I say score himself, possibly credit himself with. You will hear one, two things his speech will claim or would report to have done. So one of them, you can see on the pages of the paper, this one is signed by Senator Dr. Abdulrahman Yari Abubakar. He's the Mafaran Sokoto. He's a senator from Zamfara West. There are others, all politicians. So where is the source of the assessment of these people endorsing President Tinubu?
No, for politicians, you cannot rely on their endorsement. Because for politicians, it's politics they are playing. They are scheming. And that's the language of Tinubu himself, scheming, politicking. So all the encomium, okay, and the felicitation you see, they are tied around psychophancy,
praise singing,
eye service, just to make the president feel good, so that they can be in the good book of the president, and so that possibly they could also be immune for possible investigation and prosecution for crime and criminality.
So does this not put a line? Is this not dialectic? Senators, governors endorsing the president, but those they govern are groaning. Is this not a short deficit of representation?
It is, because you can see the lopsidedness. These people who are writing newspaper and advertorials and all that are representatives of the larger society.
Yes, who elected them.
Yes, now that primary larger society, they are disgruntled. Okay? They are not happy with the kind of outcomes they are seeing, having donated their allegiance in exchange for good governance and a dividend of democracy. They are not happy, they are groaning. Many of them are unemployed. Many of them are unable to feed. Many of them have dropped out of school. Many of them cannot cope up again with the vice of life. But here are their representatives, unable to take the message of the plight of their people to the president. But they have now turned it around to praise the president, put up advertorials, so the president will feel that for the representative of the people to endorse him, it means the people are fine by assumption or by token, in return, because these are the people. So at the end of the day, you find a twist, because when you say Nigeria is not working, maybe it's not working for you. There are a lot of people Nigeria is working for. And,
Oh, really?
Yes. And nothing on this earth will make them leave this country. They will not leave because the country, how lopsided and the level of economic injustice we have, is working seriously for so many persons. Okay. A lawmaker, for example, who represents a senatorial district, would you say Nigeria is not working for him? With the amount of money they get, the allowances, the car allowances, and all those largesse they get, you cannot say Nigeria is not working for him. Meanwhile, he's representing people that Nigeria is not working for.
You know, there's this coinage I read in the Tell newspaper, 2000, in the Obasanjo administration. Obasanjo's government is nearly 20 years ago, and it seems to be what you are affirming, that elected politicians live on islands of opulence.
Yes.
Surrounded by the masses in oceans of poverty.
Yes.
So that's the picture you are painting.
Very well.
So as it were now, within today's government, if we move away from insecurity, what's the second largest thing you would have expected President Tinubu to have paid attention to?
Employment.
Not food insecurity.
Employment, that's food.
Okay.
Employment is everything.
Good.
Employment, I mean, it's not just employ people on white-collar jobs, but people who do businesses.
Of course.
Access to credit.
Enabling environment.
Yes, an enabling environment, access to credit, creating facilities around them, electricity, to allow their business thrive, and all the variables that make for a viable economy. If you put it together, electricity, for example, you would have solved the problem by half. Okay? Then let the cost be something that is bearable. Or if not, put a subsidy on it. Since you are no longer paying subsidy for fuel, why don't you take the subsidy for electricity? Because there is no way you will not pay subsidy in the long run. The security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. Yeah. Government exists just because of the people. But why is it that here, we don't treat it like that? We don't treat it as if it's because of the people that government exists. Okay? Okay, now you are borrowing and all that, taking loan and all that. The economic situation of the country is getting worse. Okay? So we must come to that point where the people should be able to sing the songs that their lawmakers and their representatives are singing. Because now we have discordant tunes.
Yes, we do.
Okay? One of sorrow coming from the grassroots. One of despair. Travesty of justice. And another, a glorious one from the representative to the president. Okay? To establish and to show that there is a level of inequality in the land, and that those who are opportune and privileged, okay, can really say the president is doing well because they are also getting maximum benefit from the lopsided economy.
Okay, so I'm looking at somebody I used to admire, President Ronald Reagan, the 40th president of the United States of America. He is popular for cutting tax for the American people. So Ronald Reagan in the late 70s, coming into the 80s. So if a president, like you are saying about subsidy in the power sector, if a president looking at the people he governs can cut tax for them, because we read that made him so popular. Some found him conservative, but according to him, conservative enough for the well-being of his people. Have we ever had a president in Nigeria who because part of the headache now are high taxes.
High taxes.
Very high taxes. Has such a situation repeated itself here?
Well, yes, in so much. You know that there was even a proposal to take VAT to 10% that was shut down. Because the current tax bill, the 4-in-1, which is actually supposed to revolutionize the tax industry in Nigeria, it's not necessarily an increment in tax,
okay,
but it is to widen the net to capture those who default. especially companies, individuals, establishment and authorities, okay, to have a system that monitors them transparently so they're able to contribute, okay, including but not limited to online platforms and apps that have their offices overseas, but operate here with a huge population. So at the end of the day, they go home without really paying tax. But our people use the social media very well and contribute massively to that economy. We contribute everything, both music, both the discourse, everything to them. And so this particular reform will take care of all that, okay? But whilst it was introduced, there was also a part that came, the value-added tax, which was proposed for 10%. Now, that was shut down because it is too high. Even the 7.5% that we have is a problem.
It is, vis-a-vis the economic reality.
Yes, it's a problem because you go into a store, for example, you buy something of about 300,000, you'll be parting with almost 30,000 naira VAT.
Can you imagine?
Yes, you may not know. Because I use those big stores very well.
And those that's an amount that's in some places people's salary.
Yes, I use those big stores. But in fact, there was a day I was in one of the big stores and I bought 4 air conditioners, each at about 300 plus per air conditioner, which came to around almost
1 million.
900, 1 million plus. Yes, I paid VAT of almost 100,000 naira. Yes, that is the VAT.
Is that VAT government is ripping us off?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, because at the end of the day, if it has been taken to 10%, you know that we are in trouble because people will not go for goods that are vatable, and you cannot stay away completely from it. So that's what I'm saying. Thank God that one was taken down. The issue is that the masses. We are supposed to have a tax system that will tax the rich more, not flat. Because even our VAT, we are putting everything flat on everybody. Those they have and they have not. So at the end of the day, you widen inequalities.
I thought they used to be proportional income tax. Where is that?
No. That's not longer viable in the system because in the UK, okay, the higher the brand of car you have, the more tax you pay on it. Okay. That's because for you to afford that, you should be able to afford the tax that comes with it. Okay, but here, if a poor man, a fortune flashes on him in a particular day and is able to afford that car, he will pay the same thing that the rich person who had owned the car pays. So at the end of the day, you don't even have that.
There's no gap.
There's no, because you are supposed to fashion your economy in such a way that it will support the have-nots.
So in the absence of the right social stratification recognition by the government,
yes,
it will erode what we are hearing in the papers, the absence of the middle class.
Very well.
There's just a big,
because it's a flat curve. Okay, there's no consideration.
No midpoint.
No midpoint, no consideration for America operate consumption tax. Everything you buy, there's tax. Everything you buy, there's tax. Everything you buy, that way, they are able to use it. They're able to use it because now everybody have to pay, no matter what they buy. So they now use the turnover. You understand? In the UK, they monitor your social status. Then the places you are able to go to. The places you are able to go to and the kind of things you are able to afford. The kind of houses you are able to afford. Determine the kind of tax you are paying. And that gives you some level of... so from that tax, they're able to take care of the have-nots and the homeless. So an economy should not be such a way that you just put everything flat. Because the more you do that, the more you will put more people into debt, more people into trouble, and the rest of that.
We'd like to thank Barrister Evans Feli. That's the size of the newspaper review, which has kind of turned into a lecture and an expose. And tomorrow will be Democracy Day from Enterprise TV. We look forward to seeing you there. I think more on the Tinubu administration will be x-rayed and come to the fore. When we return, Tinubu seeks National Assembly approval for 34.15 trillion naira loan, pushing public debt towards 180 trillion. That's on our main conversation. Please stay right with us. But so far, if you are not watching us live, you can always catch up with everything. Hello there, welcome to Enterprise TV, the television station holding the tradition of truth. We have our main conversation here, and we are looking at the recent news making the round. Nigeria's public debt is set to exceed 180 trillion naira, following President Bola Tinubu's request to the National Assembly seeking approval for additional external and domestic loans totaling 34.15 trillion naira. According to the letters, President Tinubu is seeking approval for a new external borrowing plan of over $21.5 billion, which translates to 33.39 trillion naira at the official rate of 1,590 naira per dollar. Talking about exchange rate there. The president is also seeking approval of a domestic bond issuance of 757.9 billion naira to settle outstanding pension liabilities. In the separate letters to the Senate and House of Representatives read at yesterday's plenary by the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and Speaker of the House, Tajudeen Abbas, President Tinubu highlighted the strategic significance of the 2025 to 2026 borrowing plan, noting that it spanned key sectors of the economy. In another letter, President Tinubu sought the National Assembly's approval for issuance of federal government bonds in the domestic market to settle accrued pension liabilities under the Contributory Pension Scheme CPS, amounting again to 757,983,246.576 kobo. The president, who cited the Pension Reform Act 2014, noted that the government had been unable to comply with some statutory pension obligations due to revenue challenges, leading to a build-up of arrears and increasing hardship for retirees. That's the main conversation. But before we do that, I would like to tell Nigerians the Democracy Day, it's not May 29, as I earlier said. We celebrate that on June 12th, possibly barely 2 weeks away. I come to you, Barrister. The people know budget as either budget surplus or budget deficit. So I want you to give us in 1 minute, what is a budget surplus?
Well, a budget surplus is when you have where you have a budget for which you have tagged the means of derivation of the fund.
Revenue.
Yes, revenue. Like we put our oil benchmark, the price at certain level, and we calculate that too. So when you have, for example, last year, when the price of oil went up, at the time it went up, we had surplus. Because the benchmark for which we put it, we now have
exceeded.
We have exceeded that particular figure. Where you have deficit is where that's what we call budget underperformance.
Okay, so your budget deficit now is that government spending will exceed revenue.
Yes.
This is what we are going to get, but we want to spend beyond what we want to get.
Yes.
Is that prudent?
Well, it's not prudent, but when you have items and agendas and you have budgets already that do not capture the full reality. Because see, what they call budget is a statement of intention. It does not mean actual revenue or liquidity. It's a projection of what the government intends to do within a period of 1 year, which is now a law. Now it is followed and evaluated based on performance. Performance will mean the level at which you are able to release funds to the respective projects, and the level at which you are able to push it to. Whether you're able to. Now, when you look at the budget, you have two different parts. You have recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure has to do with those funds that are compulsory. So salaries and those are compulsory. Then the other part of it is capital expenditure. That is the one that has to do with projects, infrastructure, and all that. So at the end of the day, the Nigerian budget, a huge chunk of it goes to recurrent expenditure.
I want to take it from there that budget deficits come with negative consequences.
Yes.
There could be increase in national debt. Some of these can morph into higher interest payments.
Yes.
And this could potentially crowd could crowd out private investments, and maybe in the end it reduces national growth.
Yes, because it stifles national income and then affects the economy. Because what we have is actually budget deficit. Because we are borrowing so much to fund it, and the bad part of the borrowing is that we are borrowing for consumption. Because to take care of retirees, that is not investment.
I will halt you there now. If we borrow for consumption, one of the means of recouping to pay back these loans is the imposition of higher taxes on the masses.
And domestic bonds.
So
if you look at that report, alongside that money the federal government want to borrow, it has also initiated a domestic bond that will,
buffer.
Yes, that the federal government is supposed to generate revenue from. Because the 2025-2026 borrowing plan, there's a borrowing plan.
Yes.
That is supposed to take care of agriculture, water provision, health care. It's education there. I don't know whether education is there, but I know there are some items, like 6 of them there, that the 2025-2026 borrowing plan is supposed to take care. So Nigerians are crying now. This is not going to be the first and the last. There's going to be a lot of borrowing coming. There's a plan to cover a huge area, and we are saying that the president just offset the IMF loan, but we are going into a deeper one now, because we don't have the resources to take care of our budgets.
So all of these analysis and the pinpoint questions I'm asking you is coming down to what we've discussed as the basis of representation. A representative is somebody elected from his constituencies to voice the feelings of that constituent to the government,
Yes.
like at that collegiate gathering.
Yes.
We are yet to, in the reign of the APC government since 2015 till now, we are yet to see a Senate, a National Assembly, that turned down the request of the president for borrowing. Is this good for the masses, especially when you say they are borrowing for consumption and not for production?
Yes, I don't think this borrowing is good for the masses, the larger good of Nigeria. I know that pensioners that have been owed, based on the 2014 Pension Reform Act that created this contributory pension, the federal government they ran into trouble, serious problem with the custodians, that's the pension bodies, those institutions that will house the funds,
Okay.
to be paying to the pensioners. And the federal government is owing a lot in that area. Okay, what I thought they should have done is to look inward, focus on that bond, and then map out a strategy, maybe three months, in which they can get enough money from the issuance of bond and pay that money gradually, instead of to borrow lump sum to just offset, and you go run into bigger debt. The federal government could have paid that money gradually, and the pensioners would get it. Yes, since you don't give them that money really all at once. If you are still working, if you are out of job, and you can only access that money when you are 50, and you can only access only 20% of it
At 50?
Yes, if you are out of job,
Okay,
and
yes.
you're up to 50 years, your contributory pension, normally you cannot access it. But when you are out of job and you are 50, you can access 20% of it, because you're not yet retired at 50. It's when you retire, fully retired, that they'll be paying you based on what you have. They'll be paying you maybe 30, or depending on what you have, until a long period of time, when you're able to exhaust what you have. But if you are temporarily out of job, because some people, once they go out of job, the next day they'll go say they want to collect their pension. But no. The law didn't say you can do that. The law say you can only take to access 20% of it when you are 50 and you're out of job. So you can always reintegrate. You understand? So it's not funds that is required one day. So the federal government could have come up with a plan to pay this money gradually, instead of taking that huge amount as a loan. Then go into, now we're heading to 180 trillion
That's
naira, from where we were before. And we just offset one IMF this thing that.
Let me take it from there. At the time the IMF loan was offset by the president, very commendable move. The pattern of communication made it look like every debt being owed by Nigeria was already offset.
That's what it looked like, but it was just a section.
Yes. So now I'm coming down over 180 trillion. We've looked at the impact on the masses. Let's look at it as a nation. All of this borrowing, does it not potentially impact Nigeria's sovereignty on the international scene?
It depends on the terms and condition of the loan. The one that really impacted on our sovereignty has to do with the sovereign loan that was taken by Rotimi Amechi, because it was from China, and certain conditions were made precedent. Okay, which includes issues about sovereignty. That was used to take care of the railways.
Okay.
And even part of the railway today are not doing well, not performing optimally. Even though they are generating, the federal government is generating, and they are paying off the interest. I think it's the interest or the principal. I can't remember which one they are taking care of. But they are taking care of one part of it from the inflow of, because that loan is supposed to take care of itself. It's supposed to pay off itself, then the rail will remain for us.
Okay.
That's exactly why you have first class in the
coaches.
Yes, you have different classes with different fees, executive and all that. So they are getting so much from that, and at least they are paying something. It's better than not paying anything. There was a time they were unable to pay when the Boko Haram insurgents attacked the Abuja and Kaduna. So they went off radar for some time, and they came back, and I think they are doing well now.
Okay, let me put this to you. In a people's parliament, in a mass-centric, mass-inclined, a Senate that has bias for the masses, a National Assembly, so to speak, if you were the Senate president of such, this particular debt, would you approve it?
If I was the
this
Senate
particular
president.
loan, yes.
Well, the Senate,
I'm saying, my theory is, were we running an assembly that favors the masses?
No, this assembly does not favor the masses. The assembly is pro-executive. It's pro-executive.
They are the behest
it's a rubber stamp assembly, because the National Assembly ought to have made this suggestion. The National Assembly have a committee on finance. This letter is supposed to be referred to them.
Not straight to the Senate president.
Not straight. No, it should come to the Senate president. But
and not straight. Through the finance?
Yeah. No, the letter is from the executive. It should come to the Senate president.
Okay.
The Senate president will refer it to the Committee on Finance.
Before taking...
Yes, they are the one that understand the economy. They are the one that know where things are going. They will sit down, do an oversight on it based on sections 88 and 89 of 1999.
Would we say that has taken place?
No, nothing that take place here. They just gather and approve it. It crashed me and scratched your back government we're running. Ordinarily, the Senate Committee on Finance is supposed to sit on it. They cannot advise the executive why they are withholding approval. You understand? Just like if you send a bill to the president for assent, after 30 days, if he does not sign it, means he has vetoed it. Now, I can give you reasons why he vetoed it. Just like when this new Electoral Act 2020 was presented to Buhari 4 times. You remember?
Yes.
4 times. And there was a point where he even said that the provisions of the bill then, if he sign it as it is now, it will be impossible for political parties to send in the names of their representative 90 days before election. They will not be able to do that, because by the time you look at the session and everything, it will, if they submit names, it will not be more than 4 weeks. Election will start. So they went to correct that one too. Several provisions were corrected. I had all the first steps, the issues with the Electoral Act then, at every time they submitted it. So we'll give reasons. You understand? So this one, you want to borrow this. Okay, can we look inward? The Committee on Finance will sit down and they will actually give the federal government the best advice on how to raise that money without necessarily taking a loan. You understand? Because bonds are viable. A lot of people want to invest in that area, and if it's not able to offset it, then whatever you're able to get quarterly, you use it.
Okay.
Just avoid loan. That's what I'm saying. Because for consumption, if it were to be for project, I would say there's no need. Though it's a project that's going to bring money back.
Generate revenue.
So what we should do, we look at the project itself, how viable it is. The National Assembly will now sit down and oversight it, and see its viability and approve accordingly.
An ability to generate ROI.
Yeah, because this one is to just take and throw inside this thing, and that's all. You can't recoup it. It's for pension. Pension is expenditure.
Would all of it all even go into that pension?
That is what we are saying. It's expenditure. So expenditure is, once you put it down, it's gone.
So, Barrister Ofeli, Nigeria is renowned as a blessed country by God.
Yes.
And we want to believe that these blessings stems from the natural resources. We have human resources, capital resources. If you look at Zamfara, I hear there is gold there. I haven't been there. Now wherever there are gold deposits in the soil, say South Africa, Russia, I don't know the level in Ghana, the mining is strategic and standardized. We have our petroleum resources, and we are stumbling in refining them. We bring them out and then send them and buy pay for refund. We have land. My cry is, in 2025, I don't know the extent of a mechanized farming we practice. I've just cited 3 instances, both gold, petroleum, agriculture, mechanized, and agro-processing. Can all of this not sustain us and keep us off from this kind of humongous external borrowing?
It can.
If efficiently run.
It can.
So why are we not
in
looking?
the first republic, that was exactly the things you mentioned now were the things that sustained this country.
And
okay?
we're not owing.
We were not owing at that time. In fact, we had television before France in Ibadan. Lagos had electricity in 1867. 1867 had electricity even before part of the United Kingdom, where they were using coal at that time. Okay, so through cocoa, agricultural produce, cassava, groundnuts, palm oil and all that, Nigeria was prosperous. And that time, it has even discovered oil. It didn't even pay attention to it. Because what was giving us money, we had enough that was giving us money. So the oil was an afterthought. It wasn't even as, So when we now, in the 70s, we now shift our attention to oil, the oil boom now followed and all that. That's where we lost it. We now feel that there's free money. So why should you be toiling the soil? Or why should you be...
We
abandoned it.
So wouldn't we have been doubly wealthy farming what was sustaining you plus?
Yeah, we would have been very wealthy now. Countries like Mexico, they survive on what? It's not agriculture.
And they are doing well.
They are doing well. Okay, so many countries of the world, like countries even close to us,
Brazil,
Kenya and the rest of them,
Uganda.
Brazil, Argentina, some of these countries, even in Texas, in America, like highly agro-based, Egypt and the rest of that, where even they don't have fertile land, they have drought.
Bangladesh.
Yes. So these countries grew because see, when you produce enough, people will buy. Yeah. Okay, because now and we are a country of first in a lot of things. We are the first in the production of cassava in the world. We are the largest in the production of yam in the world. You see, those 2 items only can sustain Nigeria. Cassava and yam, we are the largest in the world. No country.
Are we producing them by mechanized agriculture?
We are even producing, we are the largest by subsistence agriculture.
This primitive.
Yes. Just imagine.
What will happen if?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just imagine if we have mechanization, if we use mechanization to grow those. So we will just spread it across the world. Okay. And notice, my friend drew my attention to what is happening in America right now. Do you know that the Chinese have discovered our food? Do you see their population?